Thank you, Patrick. Hi, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our debate concerning the new regulatory playing field. Is it national? Is it international? Or is it European? And to discover who will be the regulator of tomorrow, we welcome Benoit THIEULIN and Nicklas LUNDBLAD. So Benoit, you are the chairman of the French Digital Council, and Nicklas, you are the director of public policy and government relations for Europe for Google. A warm welcome to you both, and thank you to be with us.
Thank you.
Yesterday, Nicklas, is it a perfect timing? I don't know. Russia declared Google violated competition rules. So maybe before choosing what is the most effective level of regulation, can we discuss which areas of the internet must be prioritized in terms of regulation?
Please, Nicklas.
Okay, more than happy to. So there's an obvious answer to your question, and the obvious answer is that we need to protect fundamental rights on the internet as the most prioritized area. So you should be able to blog, you should be able to share videos, you should be able to express your opinion without being threatened by any kind of retribution. That's the obvious answer, right? The other thing we need to do when it comes to regulation is that we need to be eliminating things that stop entrepreneurs from reaching a global audience.
Well, I agree with Nicklas, but I will say that firstly, what we are looking for is probably to get a kind of same level playing field between big companies and small ones. And I think that the first level, the first issue of regulation is taxation. And in this system of taxation now with the digital economy, there is really a problem because we have a lot of big companies, and not only digital one, but a lot of big companies are paying very, very few taxes. And the small companies, I have an SME, so I know what I'm speaking about. In France, for instance, when you have a small companies, you are paying about 30% of tax on benefits. And when you're a big companies, it lows around 10%. And when you're at Google, I'm sorry, I really love Google, but you're almost not paying any taxes. So I think that the first thing is just to have the same level playing field. Sorry?
We're paying a fair bit of taxes too. I mean,
not on benefits.
But I agree with you, because I agree with you on a very specific point, and that is that we need international taxation to work. And we've said this several times. We believe that the OECD needs to get to a place
Absolutely, I agree.
where we agree together.
And so if I answer the question, which was, what is the good level? I think that the good level for that kind of taxation regulation, which is, I think, very important for equality between companies, is international. I agree with you 100%. And I think that the important thing is to push OECD to negotiate and to change the rule of taxation. I think it's really a key moment that we are just waiting for now to give one more time the same level playing field for all the companies. I think really something that we should agree, I think.
And it's really important for both small and big companies. Big companies want predictability. They want an understandable tax situation. They want one that makes it possible for them to hire people to invest in the whole world. And so
I agree.
The OECD is what needs
I
to
think
solve
that the question behind
I think we're agreeing too much here. We should probably...
No, what I mean is that what is at stake behind the question of taxations, in fact? I think it's just the sustainability of the digital economy.
Yeah.
I mean, we all are very, very good users of the internet. If we do that, it's just because we have been to schools, we are in good health because we have hospital, and we have time because we have social protections. All these issues are financed by taxes. So the fact that all the companies in the world pay taxes is something absolutely important in a market economy. I think that's the first level, but we're not going to speak only about taxes. I think that we have also to find a good level to create norms and standards. And I think that on the field, for instance, of the Internet of Things, which is probably the new Internet with the most important growth in the world now, I think that we need also to find a way to diffuse good standards, because I think that SME startups, users, they need this same standards
By the way, Benoit, you delivered to Manuel Valls a copious report entitled Ambition numérique. Some might say that you think if French government embrace the brave choice of regulating France would probably have the great opportunity to take the lead in the debate on the European scale. So my question is, what are the pros and cons of increasing or decreasing regulation?
In fact, I think that we have to invent new types of regulation. In fact, I'm not sure that the law voted in a national parliament is, the only way, in fact, to create regulations. I believe really also strongly in the reputations. I think that when you are a platform, the fact that your API would be evaluated, for instance, by an agency. You know that the Conseil National Numérique pushed the idea of creating in Europe, not only in France, but in Europe, exactly as the Germans already did in their country, a kind of digital platform ranking agencies. And what would be the aim of that kind of agency? Just to create and to push light on the blind spot of the digital platform practices. And when I'm speaking about platform, I'm not speaking only about Google, because we're always focusing on Google or Facebook. My bank is going to be a platform. And if I compare the practices of my bank in terms of personal data protections, and if I compare my bank to Google, for sure Google is absolutely better in the term of protection and so on. So that's why I really totally reject the terms of GAFA that we sometimes use in France as in Europe, because I think it's too much stigmatizing Google, Facebook, and so on. The problem for me is not Google. The problem is this platform. We are changing the business model of a big part of our economy. We are moving to a platform economy, and in this platform economy, we have to rethink the relation between an ecosystem and the platform. And for instance, now the law that we have, the way the states are just making regulations is absolutely not adapted to that kind of new economy.
But
so that's why.
No, it's partly true. I mean,
it's a tug war between innovation and protection, and I guess that Google have all the criteria for being a scapegoat. Maybe?
For sure.
Maybe. I mean, it's also the fact that we have millions of companies working on our platform to expand their business. And I think when we ask the question of what level of regulation we should be looking for, it should reflect our ambitions, right? Today, a young startup that starts up can reach 3.2 billion customers in their first day. And if we have regulation that doesn't support that, and it doesn't support them forming a company across India, across France, across the US, the end of the day, we're going to all be losers. Because in order to tax, you have to have growth. You have to have something that grows to tax. And we need to ensure that growth by making sure there's an international framework for micro multinationals and for startups and entrepreneurs that will use this technology, whether it's platforms or not, to build our future. And I think that's crucially important.
I agree with that. But you know, sometimes the markets need data that are not in the public debates. And that's exactly what the financial ranking agencies are producing. They have a lot of people making analysis about the economy of the state, of big companies and so on. I think that we need exactly the same thing for digital platforms. And when I say digital platform, it's my bank, it's the SNCF, French big companies, and also Google, Facebook, Amazon, and so and all these big companies with new practices that we have to, in fact, analyze, because it's really changing fast, and it's not the same way we had to regulate before. So I think the question is not only the good level of regulations, it's probably the form of the regulation itself. And I think that to play with the leverage of reputation, and to play, in fact, and to give after that the market itself the power to make this regulation is good. But now, who knows exactly what is the best APIs of a platform? Is it Twitter? Is it Google? Is it Facebook? What are really the way they are changing these APIs? It is something that we know really? We don't know that. And so I think that for startups, when you are a developer, when you are a programmer, and you want to create your companies, if you know before that the Google API is the most stable and it's the best, and that you are going to just build your business on Google more than on another platform, it's data, it's an information that you need. And for now, we don't have really these informations. In a platform economy, this information is critical. We have to produce it. And I think that, in fact, ranking digital platform agencies will be the missions that we need to, in fact, just put a light on this blind spot of digital economy platform.
I also think it's dangerous to just talk about platforms. It's easy to say that there's this new thing, platforms, and we need to regulate it. But if you look at it, more and more of the companies out there now...
Regulate, but not only with laws.
Not only with laws,
You
I
agree
find
with
that fine. I just think that there's always a need to balance the new and the old. And I think that there may be a lot of different problems that need to be solved, and you might be quite accurate there, but I'd also believe that calling it platforms obscures a large part of the challenges we're facing. So what we should be doing is we should be looking at new businesses and what they're doing, and we should be asking, how do we accommodate this with our legal system? And if we can't, let's figure out how we reform the existing legal system rather than make up a new word, platforms, and say that this is what we're going to be heading for. I think it's too easy. I just think it's too easy to go say that the platforms will change the world. And I think it's more important to look at what every individual company is doing. And there you're right. You're absolutely right. They're changing the world. Your bank will change the world. We have, to a certain extent, also helped change the world. And I think that a lot of other companies that are coming are now going to do it, but in their own way. Let's not just subsume them all under one concept and say, you are all platforms. But let's try to make sure that they get a unique chance to do their thing.
You cannot be opposite to the idea, just the idea, that you will give more information about practices to the market. I mean, you cannot be opposite to that idea. I'm sure you agree with that. That's just that we are asking for. Just we want information and data about these practices.
I mean,
because the market economy needs these informations to grow.
I think we can give it the information without calling it platforms or inventing new things. But it's a bit of a side debate, and we're getting sidetracked from what we were discussing.
I'm not speaking about new laws. I'm just speaking about agencies that are going just to work on this. Because it's technical.
And ultimately, what may the benefits of national, European-wide or international, we don't care, regulation, be on the average citizen, entrepreneur, giant corporation, and the state itself? Because there is a lot of actors. More
growth, more equality between actors, and I think just to be, that's, I think, the original, the genuine promises of internet. More equality between actors. The success of Google now, it's just the consequence of net neutrality and of hyper-equality of this network, these spatial networks, internet. So I think that we have to preserve it. So if we need just regulation, sometimes we need that. For net neutrality, I agree with that. I mean, I think that for net neutrality, we need to push it in the law, in the national law, in the European law, better if we can. And I think that's, an example of the fact that we need to preserve equality, which is the genuine principle of the internet.
But the question was about how it changes the life for a citizen, right? And I think it's really important that citizens have predictable services, that they have an opportunity to understand what rules apply. And it's a little bit like chess. If you all know the rules and nobody tells you what color you can have on your chess pieces, you're all going to be able to play the game together. And that's what we're really talking about when we're talking about the level playing field. Making sure it's a technology-neutral, actor-neutral law that allows you to,
because it will benefit
continue
for all
to play,
actors.
right?
SMEs, innovators, big companies, everyone.
So we are really lucky to have such dedicated professionals as you are working to find local and global solutions. So once again, thank you both for your participation. And a big round of applause, please.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm practicing French boxing, but that's the first time I boxed with Google.
And I'm
Very
going
impressive.
to run away now, yes.